Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to today's session where, I'm going to go ahead and hopefully, give you some sort of an answer to any queries that you might have with respect to the IIM Indore IPMAT form filling. For this is specifically for all of those who've gone ahead and gotten a call. He'd also shot a video between Amitendra and me, which is there on YouTube. You'll be able to see it under the live session. It was the live session that we'd taken, where we'd gone ahead and spoken a little bit about the form at length. We'd spoken about what the correct answers could be, or what the ideal answers could be. A little bit about, how you should start thinking, why interviews are important, what are the different elements that you can focus on, and so on and so forth. Today's session is more like a follow-up on what we've already gone ahead and done. Before I get into that, just a final confirmation. Am I audible and visible? Just a couple of you all writing in the chat box will be great, so that we know that we're audible, visible, sab theek chal raha hai, koi problem nahi hai, before I officially go ahead and get started. So I'll just wait for a few seconds. Yes, I've already gotten a reply that I'm audible and visible, so that's perfect. Thanks for that, Shruti. So what I'm going to do is, since a few of you all have already gone ahead and seen that video, you all have come back with a few queries. You all have come back with specific queries, personalized queries ki iska kya hoga, uska kya hoga, mera profile aisa hai to main kya karu, I don't have any extracurriculars, what is it that I can go ahead and write, and so on and so forth. So what I'm going to do today is, I'm going to look at that particular form. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the cutoffs that have happened and what is it that you should keep in mind with respect to stage 2 for IIM Indore. And then I'm going to go into the nitty-gritties of the specific queries that have come up. While I'm going to do that, the chat box is open for you all. I would request you all, in case you all have any queries, go ahead, post it on the chat box, and I will go ahead and reply on that. I will give you your personalized answer in terms of the query that you go ahead and put forth. Okay? So that's basically what we're going to go ahead and focus on in today's session. Enough said, let's officially go ahead and kickstart. Like I stated, it's an AMA session today. This is basically the agenda. What is it that we're going to cover? Number one, we'll talk a little bit about the IPMAT 2026 cutoffs, which I'm sure everybody is aware of already. You would have seen it, but still, just to give you an overview. Secondly, what the aptitude test scores in terms of the cutoffs, in terms of the conversion has been. What is it that you need to keep in mind? Also, the number of students across category who've gotten a call. So it also gives you a brief idea of your percentage and probability of going ahead and converting that call. Next, a profile overview. We've already done that in the previous session, but I'm just going to go through the two questions that are there. Just give out 2 or 3 important bullet points that you need to keep a note on. And then finally, your queries that I'm going to go ahead and pick up and answer. So any doubts and questions that you have. Okay. This is basically what the cutoff looks like. What we've done is we've given you a comparison between 2026 and 2025. 3 sections, as we are aware. Let's start off with essay, then we'll move to MCQ in quant, and finally end with verbal. Now, if you look at it from a category perspective, biggest category generally in terms of quantum is going to be general. So let me start there. General, if you look at last year, the cutoff was about 24 marks, right? If you look here, it was about 24 in essay. This year, the same has moved to about 28. Let me change the color. Maybe this would be a little better. Yeah, last year was 24. This year has moved to 28. So it's gone up slightly. In MCQ, more or less at par. In verbal, more or less at par. So if I look at this, this is a 1 mark fall. This is a 1 mark fall. This is a 4 mark increase. So net, it's a 2 mark increase. That's basically what we see, which means ballpark more or less same hai. So if I'm using this as a benchmark to understand how well do I need to do in PIs, what is it that I should aim for, what kind of score will I need there, it should give you a brief idea. And that's something that I'm going to talk a little bit about as we move ahead. Next, if I look at NCOBC, you see something similar, but in verbal, you see a huge drop, right? You suddenly see an 8 mark drop in verbal, whereas in essay, there is a 4 mark growth. Now, essay, very clearly, you can see probably this year was slightly more palatable, a couple of extra questions which were in the doable category, which is why general NCOBC, it goes up, whereas for the others, it remains more or less the same, other than PWD. But that is also dependent upon number of applicants. If the number of applicants in PWD is not very, very high, automatically the cutoff sectional wise will also fall, right? But one clear fact which is visible is that verbal ability this year, students found it slightly tougher than the previous year. Right? If you look at verbal ability in EWS, it's an 8 mark fall. In general, it's a 1 mark fall. In NCOBC, again, 8 mark fall. We talk about PWD, it's almost a 17 mark fall. SC is about a 7 mark fall. ST is more or less at par, exactly the same, which leads me to believe that probably the number of ST students writing the exam this year increased, which made the competition slightly tougher. So these are certain takeaways that you can look at. So this is basically how it looks. Now, if somebody is looking at yaar, to overall minimum cutoff kya hoga? Generally, rule of thumb that we do is add kar lo A. So let me take some other example. Let's say take EWS as the example. Okay? So A plus B plus C kar leta hu. So A plus B plus C, if I do, what will I get? I will get 16 plus 17, which is 33, plus 79. So that's basically about 112 marks. इस पे I would say rule of thumb of about 20% increment. So you can say roughly around 20 to 23 और बढ़ा लो. So you're talking about somewhere in the vicinity of about 135 odd marks, which could have been the overall cutoff. General में same way से 28 plus 27, we're talking about 55, add 111, that's 166, 20% kar lo, 32 marks, 33 marks, 198, 199, 200 rule of thumb. So it basically looks like that is the ballpark that we are dealing in. That's generally the way to look at it. Now, when these guys go ahead, Indore, when they go ahead and calculate the aptitude test score, which is the ATS, they've got a formula, right? The formula states 25 into the marks that you have scored minus the minimum marks divided by the maximum marks minus the minimum marks. So if I were to just write it, it's section wise. So for essay and the MCQ section of QA, it is 25 into my marks. So let's say my marks minus min marks divided by max marks minus min marks. That's basically how it is calculated for essay. Similarly, when my marks is obtained marks, right? Similarly, for MCQ, it will be the same. For verbal, the weightage won't be 25, it will become 50. So that's the way they go ahead and calculate the ATS. Uske basis mein, what is it that we go ahead and see, right? We are seeing the minimum ATS was 31.16, the maximum was 71.7. The minimum in general 50.26, the maximum in general 91.01. Minimum in NCOBC 24.87, maximum. So it is giving you a min-max range from where it has operated. So if you're looking at minimum maximum क्या होगा, अपने marks इसमें डालो तो आपको एक समझ आ जाएगा कि मेरा क्या calculation होना चाहिए. Next thing to keep in mind, which I think is the more important point of this slide, because the call has already come. You don't need to delve a little deeper into मेरे को क्यों आया नहीं आया, borderline हूँ नहीं हूँ, forget all of that. Important part is my probability of success. Now let's look at general category. There are about 150 seats, right, at IIM Indore. I would say general. Now you can remove OBC is 27, SC, ST and all will be about 22.5. So general may say 10% will move to EWS, a percentage will move to go ahead and move to your PWD. Total आप calculate करोगे roughly around 40-42% के आसपास, maybe 43% will be general, which means 40% of 150 is going to be 60, another 2-3%, so 3 to 5 seats. Let's say 65 as a ballpark. So I'm saying, say there are 65 seats in general. 293 have gotten a call. Your probability of success suddenly becomes very high. You are almost hovering at 1 by 4.3, 4.4. So you're almost stating, मेरे पास almost 22-23% chance of conversion. Ballpark अगर whole number ले लूँ, that's a 25% chance of conversion. 1 in every 4 students has a chance of converting. The elimination stage is done. There were about close to 20,000 odd students who would have written this exam. 838 have gotten a call. Of those 20,000, I wouldn't be surprised if the general category would have been closer to 12 or 13,000, maybe higher. Of that, only 293 got a call. So let's assume 12,000. 12,000 में से 300 get a call. Whole number ताकि calculation easy हो जाए. अब 12,000 का 1% कितना होगा? 120. So 300 कितना होगा? About 2.5%. So we are basically stating 2.5% or less than that got a call. But for conversion, you're almost hitting 25%. So there is 10x probability for you to convert. You already gone through the difficult stage. You've gone through the stage of only 2.5% chance of, positivity. 2.5% chance of survival. Now there is a 25% chance of survival. Your modus operandi should be, wow, फोड़ दूंगा, मचा दूंगा. There is nothing that can stop me now. If I could do it at a 2.5% probability or chance, why can't I do it at a 25% chance? but what are the 2 to 3 things that you can do starting today to ensure that that 25% chance moves closer and closer and closer towards 100%? And that's basically what we're going to talk about in the next part of it. Before I go there and look at the questions and give you just a couple of tidbits, because we've already shared quite a bit of that in our previous session, I want to go ahead and check in case there are any questions that have come up till now. Nothing, so that's perfectly fine. In case you have any questions, I will keep repeating. Please drop it in the chat box. If you still feel yaar mera ek specific doubt hai jo nahi hua hai, put it in the chat box. I'll go ahead and answer. Now let me quickly go back to the form and let's look at the 2 important questions here. 2 questions. First question, which talks about scholastic awards and scholarships. Now, in short, they want to know, आपने अपने education, now if I talk in Hindi and I'll repeat it in English, आपने अपनी पढ़ाई में कुछ मचाया, कुछ बहुत अच्छा किया, अगर किया मुझे बता दो. आपने को-करिकुलर क्या होता है? एलोक्यूशन, डिबेटिंग, क्विजिंग, ये सब में कुछ अच्छा किया मुझे बता दो. आपने एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर, कोई स्पोर्ट खेलते हो, कोई म्यूजिक इंस्ट्रूमेंट करते हो, मूड कोड करते हो या कुछ करते हो, मुझे बता दो. Now, if I have to state the same in English, what is it? I am basically giving you an opportunity to tell me anything spectacular that you've gone ahead and done. Anything in acads, maybe 3 back-to-back years, I got 100 on 100 in math and stood first in my class or maybe even my district. Please tell me. Maybe back-to-back years I've gone ahead and, taken participation in NTSC competition and I've been, some state rank or a district rank or a regional rank. Mention it. That's academic. Similarly, co-curricular, I've gone ahead and represented my school at a district level, or I've represented my district at a national level in quizzing, or maybe in creative writing, maybe in elocution, maybe in debating, maybe in moot codes that I've gone ahead and done. Anything which is related to curricula, which is academic in nature, but not a part of your regular curriculum, is co-curricular. Extracurricular क्या हो गया? In addition to that, music कर लिया, sport खेल लिया. Those sort of things are extracurricular, club activities. So anything that you've done there at a good level is what you need to mention. The important part here is they've categorically mentioned district, state, national. Obviously, this means national se higher or international mention kar sakte ho. But lower than district, they might not be interested. Now, if I am one of those who does not have anything at district or above that level, I would categorically point it out that maybe I've not had that opportunity to go ahead and represent something at the district level or at a higher level and mention some pointers at a lower level. But I would be clear that I understand the question. I would want to showcase in my answer, I'm understanding the question. While you are asking me for district and higher, I've not had the opportunity to do that. But I have still gone ahead and dabbled a little bit. This is what I have done. This is at school level. This is at, whatever, X level, Y level or anything. Why? Because number one, you want to showcase to them, I can follow instructions. You don't want to showcase to them, नहीं आपने district बोला पर मेरा school है मैंने लिख दिया. You want to say, I understand आपने मांगा, मेरे पास नहीं है पर मैं आपको फिर भी इसके बारे में बताना चाहता हूँ. So I can follow instructions. Secondly, you don't want to keep it blank. So you don't want to play those 2 games. That's how you'll go ahead and answer this. If you already have it at this level, great. I would generally recommend do not cross about in scholastic awards and all of that. Don't cross about 150, 200 words. It's not needed. Next comes the second question, which is the game changer, which is probably going to be the most important. Let's read it. Why do you wish to go in for management education through 5-year integrated program management? What are your career plans? Look at it. Why do you want to go in management education is 1. Through a 5-year integrated program is 2. And what are your career plans is 3. There are 3 sub questions here. पहले मुझे बताओ management education क्यों? Why management education? Second, now that you told me management education, why the integrated program? Why don't you do something else at an undergraduate level and then come back to do an MBA? So tell me why the integrated program, they want that as well. Third, they are saying, now that you've told me all of this, what are your career plans? The structure here I can give you. In general, this is what we call a statement of purpose. What do we do in a statement of purpose? We go ahead and talk a little bit more about ourselves. When I say about ourselves, I don't want to talk about my 10, 12 and all of that. I don't want to talk about my achievements which have come in the previous question. I want to talk about something else, something hatke, something that showcases who I am. So a little, maybe probably about 50 words, 70 words on that, nothing more than that. Then talk a little bit about what my future goals are in life. So I will talk a little bit about here. And the career plan does not always just have to be, मेरे को एक CMO बनना है, मेरे को अपना एक startup करना है. The career plans can be a little softer. While these are the hard career plans in terms of what I wanted to do, softer could be, my parents have not had an opportunity of ever traveling internationally. That is one of my goals. So career plan के साथ दो चीजें, while you talk about the harder part, do mention the softer, because that's a life plan that's also going to come because of your career. So do mention the softer part if there is one. Hard to zaruri hai, so the hard part important, do mention the soft part as well. Career plan. Now that I have told you this is who I am, this is what I want to go, what is the shortest distance from where I am today to where I want to go? The shortest distance between any 2 points is always a straight line. So now you will go ahead and state that the most efficient way to reach towards that goal, considering who I am, passes through an MBA. This is where why MBA comes in. Now that I have stated this, why IPM? When I already know that this is what I want to do, why would I take a roundabout way to get to that? वंस अगेन शॉर्टेस्ट पाथ, अगर एमबीए करना है डे 1 से वही प्रोग्राम पे जाता हूं, और वैसे प्रोग्राम पे जाता हूं जो इंडस्ट्री बेंचमार्क है, विच इज द IIM Indore IPM program, which is an industry benchmark. That needs to be the structure. My recommendation is, say, about 300 words. At max you can look at 350 words, but nothing more than that. Okay, structure it in at least 3 to 4 paragraphs if possible. Little bit about yourself could be about 50 odd words. About your career goals could be about, say, 70-80 words. Between the two of them 150 words ho gaya. Then talking a little bit about why MBA, the most efficient path, that could be about 70 words. The IPM part could be about 80 words. So you can look at it in that perspective. 150 comes from a little bit about me and my career path and my career goal. 150 comes from why management education, and uske andar why integrated program management. That's the 300 word structure that you can go ahead and create. Okay, so these are the two questions. Now these questions do matter because they form the premise of the discussion that will come up during your interview. Hence, please focus, give it adequate amount of time and submit it well. Okay. Now, these are some questions which I have gone ahead and already written down, but let's see what there are. Approximately how many of these points should we write, and should we write it in points or paragraph? Okay. So I will pick up Niyati's question. Approximately how many of these points? So I'm guessing you're asking about achievements, right? If you can say hypothetically, the best possible would be 2 at district, 2 national, 2 international, something like that. 2 district, 2 state, 2 national, something like that. Agar waisa ho, nothing like it. But generally, it will be a little lopsided, right? You might have more district and less national, or more national, less district. So whatever it is, if you can write about 4 to 5 points, it's spectacular. 3 is a good place to be in. Less than 3, ab jo hai so hi hoga. So if you have more than 3, then don't cross 5 for sure. But if you don't have, that many, then jo hai wo likh do. Okay, don't cross 5. That's the point. Next question. Point form paragraph. So, in the first question, which is going to talk about achievements, point form would be a better way of doing it. 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that, because it gives structure, because it's not an essay. The second question should be more like an essay in paragraph format. Okay, the statement of purpose. How long should the motivation career plan essay be? I think Madhav, I've already written that. I've already mentioned that. Okay, I hope wo clear ho gaya hoga, Madhav. I've already given a structure to it as well. The 300 words, how you could distribute it in the 4 parts that you're going ahead and writing. I hope that answers your question, Niyati, and your question, Madhav. Okay, let me go back to some other questions that have come to me, after students have watched yesterday's video. In case, those questions are there for you as well, that will help answer. I don't have any state national achievements. Will that look bad? Should I leave it blank? I've already discussed this. I knew this would be a question that will generally come up. Like I stated, categorically showcase that you understood the question. They're asking you for district, state, national. I don't have it, but still I want to share with you that I've gone ahead and done this. That first part, I understand that this is what the question is asking, but I don't have it, is important, so that they know you can follow instructions. Okay, so don't worry. I have 0 extracurricular achievements at any level. What do I write? Okay, then fill it with co-curricular. Fill it with curricular. Don't write extracurricular. That's fine. Ab nahi hai to nahi hai. You can't make up something, and you don't want to make up something because they've categorically written that you will need to go ahead and produce certificates. You can't make up, right? So make up karna hi mat. Don't lie. Don't make up stuff. Don't faff around. That is not important. That is not something that is going to hold you in good stead. How detailed should I be writing? Should I be while answering these questions? I've already mentioned that. First question could be in point format. Don't cross more than about 5 points. That will be a great place to be in. And the next one, will be in paragraph format. about 300 odd words should be good there. 350 ja sakte ho, but about 300 should be good there. Can I say I'm still exploring regarding career plan? This is the good question. Now see, as a 17, 18-year-old, I do not expect every single person out there to know exactly what they want to do. So I'm still exploring is fine. But what I feel as of today I'm interested in or passionate about should be mentioned. So while I'm keeping all avenues open, basis the information at hand, basis whatever research work I've done, basis the exposure that I've gotten, I feel this is what I might want to do. But it's not written, in stone. This is not the only thing that I can go ahead and do. I still want to keep my options open. That makes sense because as a 17, 18-year-old, if everybody knows मेरे को करना क्या है, ये वर्ड बहुत ही अलग जगह होती एंड सब लोग ही वैभव सूर्यवंशी होते और वो नहीं होता है, right? That will not happen. So that is absolutely fine. Stay calm, stay composed. You don't need to figure out your life at the tender age of 17, 18. It's not important. Vaibhav Suryavanshi still watches cartoons in order to relax. It is fine. Okay. Does a certificate of appreciation count? Count in what? Now, certificate of appreciation will not be an award or a scholarship, but like I stated, say you have dearth of content there, then you can add it there by adding those clauses which I mentioned earlier. I know this is not what you asked, but I wanted to mention kind of a thing. Obviously, don't say I know you, this is not what you asked, but state while I might not be able to produce something at the state or the national level, I wanted to share with you that I have gone ahead and something like that. Colon dal ke and then write down the 3 points. Now, somehow you have enough in the scholastic and scholarship part, but still there is a certificate of appreciation which you think holds you in good stead. Then in the motivation and career plans part of it, in the first part where you're talking a little bit about yourself, those 50, 60 words, you can go ahead and mention some of that there if you think it it provides something to your profile and it is going to help you crack that interview or make an impression. So then you can certainly go ahead and put it there. So these were some of the questions that had come from your end. Any more questions at this point in time? I don't see any more in the chat box. So I'll wait for a minute or two. If there is something else, please feel free to pose and I will go ahead and happily answer any question that you might have at this point in time. But I hope this has given you clarity in terms of what to expect, in terms of what you can go ahead and write. What if I have a LOR? Absolutely, Madhav. LORs, once again, they are not a curricular or a co-curricular achievement or something. Now, it's a letter of recommendation. My guess is it's from your school or something. You can surely mention that somewhere in your career goals and when you're talking a little bit about yourself, Madhav. Okay? Perfect. So last couple of things, you've got this. Like I stated, and taking the general category student as an example, your probability of having reached this stage, 2.5% chance, basis the number of people who write the exam and the number of calls that have come. Your probability of cracking and getting into IIM Indore in about a month's time, 25% chance, more or less. So you have a 10x probability. First and foremost, explain that to yourself. Pat yourself on the back for great work done over the course of the last few months. Very well done. But now is the time to make it happen. And in order to help you with that, if you're a CL student already, you already know that you can go to your closest center wherever you've enrolled, or if you're an online class student, then you can reach out on the Telegram group or to your faculty, and you know that there'll be PI guidance that will be provided to you. If you're a non-CL student watching this and you still need some guidance, you want an IIM mentor to go ahead and help you and mentor you a little bit, feel free to enroll in the CL IPM PDP program. It's at a nominal cost. The objective is not earning money, but to help you get into your dream B school at a tender age, at a young age itself. So that's it predominantly from my end. Any other questions, I'll stay on board for a few more minutes in case there are any questions, then I'll answer. Caste certificate not already applied, what to do, sir? So caste certificate is obviously something that you will need at the time of the interview. You'll need to upload it as well. Now, if you do not have it, it might become a problem. What you can go ahead and do is you can go ahead and still carry the proof that you've already applied for it, but it will come by this date. That's the only thing that you can do. There is nothing more to it, or hope that it comes before your interview date. But yeah, in general, this is something that should have been arranged earlier. Before you wrote the exam, it should have already been arranged in case you get a call. But there's not much that you can do at this point in time. Carry the proof that you've already applied for it and hope that they give you an extension during interview stating that you can submit it in, say, 3 weeks time or 4 weeks time or something. That's all that you could go ahead and do. Perfect. That's it from my end, guys. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully this helps you. Like I stated, there is another video of this available under the live session part of it, that you can go ahead and check in case you want to go deeper and understand a few more things. In case there are any more questions that you feel that you want answered, say when you fill the form, baad mein yaad aaye, you can post that under this video in comments, and I'll get back to you and I will reply to that as well. That's it from my end at this point in time. Well done to all of you who've gotten a call. Commiserations to those who haven't gotten a call. It's okay, not the end of the world. Put your best foot forward. I'm sure something good will happen. And to those who've gotten a call, this is the time. Fight it out. Next few days, let's convert this call. And, let's go ahead and have a party that, yes, we're in one of the top P schools in the country, at a very young age, in the best IPM program of the country at this time. All the very best to all of y'all. See you again on the other side. Bye-bye.